At 3:47 in the morning, a panicked call sliced through the quiet of Pozzuoli, Italy. Maria Santoro reported a terrifying sight. A fissure had just torn open her garden, venting superheated steam and the acrid smell of sulfur. She didn't know it then, but this crack wasn't just a random geological event. It aligned perfectly with the heart of one of the planet's most dangerous supervolcanoes, Campi Flegrei. Moments later, Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology confirmed the source, a magnitude 4.6 earthquake, the largest ever recorded in the Caldera's modern history. But this was no ordinary tremor. Scientists reported the quake's signature pointed not to magma moving, but to a catastrophic structural failure deep within the Earth. The ancient rock, the very capstone holding back unimaginable pressure, was beginning to break. This drama is unfolding directly beneath a city of 500,000 people. For decades, the crust restraining the volcanic system has been weakening, swelling, and groaning under immense stress. Now, it's showing signs of critical failure. To understand what this means, we have to look back to September 29, 1538. After years of the ground rising and days of intense, non-stop earthquakes, Campi Flegrei ripped open. The eruption lasted 8 days, building an entirely new volcanic cone called Monte Nuovo. It was so violent that it completely buried the medieval village of Tripug, which vanished under a thick blanket of pyroclastic deposits. To this day, its exact location remains a mystery, but the 1538 eruption was a minor hiccup compared to the volcano's true potential. Around 40,000 years ago, Campi Flegrei unleashed the Campanian ignimbrite eruption, one of the most powerful volcanic events in European history. It spewed over 200 cubic kilometers of molten rock and ash into the atmosphere, enough to plunge the continent into a volcanic winter. The energy released was equivalent to 550 million Hiroshima bombs. This is the sleeping giant stirring beneath Pozzuoli, and the signs of its reawakening are undeniable. Since 2005, GPS satellites have measured a staggering 1.46 meters, nearly 5 feet, of vertical uplift. This isn't a small, localized bulge. The deformation spans an area 8 to 10 kilometers wide, centered directly on Pozzuoli. In 2024, the ground was rising at 2 centimeters per month. By 2025, that rate accelerated. The effects are visible everywhere. Pozzuoli's harbor, once a bustling port, has risen so high that many boats can no longer dock where the sea used to be. Ancient Roman market columns, which spent centuries submerged as the ground sank, now stand meters above the water, a stark monument to the caldera's rhythmic breathing. And as the ground swells, it breaks. The seismic activity has become relentless. In the week leading up to the major 4.6 earthquake, over 227 tremors rattled the region. But that's just what we could feel. Using AI-enhanced monitoring, scientists went back and discovered a hidden swarm of over 54,000 previously undetected microquakes between 2022 and 2025. This data confirmed a terrifying reality. A massive, ring-shaped fault system lies directly beneath the caldera, fully capable of producing earthquakes of magnitude 5 or greater. As the ground cracks, the volcano's toxic breath is escaping in record amounts. Carbon dioxide emissions have soared to 4,500 tons per day, a level typically seen only at volcanoes that are actively erupting. For years, the primary theory was that this unrest was driven by magma pushing up from below. But new research from Stanford University suggests a different, and perhaps more unpredictable, culprit. The pressure might be coming from a massive, sealed geothermal reservoir of superheated water and gas, trapped miles beneath the surface. Temperatures in this reservoir exceed 300 degrees Celsius. This means the system could generate catastrophic steam-driven explosions, known as phreatic eruptions, without any magma ever reaching the surface. These explosions can happen with little to no warning. The tremors at Campi Flegrei are not an isolated problem. The entire region is wired together. Hours after the magnitude 4.6 quake, a chain reaction of microseismic disturbances rippled across the Mediterranean. Unusual microquakes were detected at Mount Etna in Sicily. Gas anomalies were reported at Mount Vesuvius. Faint, sympathetic tremors were even registered in volcanic systems in Greece and Turkey. This suggests a vast, interconnected fault network running along the southern Italian volcanic arc. A major event at Campi Flegrei could destabilize its infamous neighbors. The human stakes are almost too immense to comprehend. Inside a 5-kilometer radius of the epicenter live 150,000 residents. The official red zone, the area designated for mandatory evacuation in the event of an eruption, contains 500,000 people across 24 towns and cities. The surrounding yellow zone, vulnerable to deadly ashfall and toxic gas. Critical infrastructure for millions hangs in the balance. Naples International Airport, serving 10 million passengers a year, lies well within the potential impact zone. The Port of Naples, a major hub for both cruise ships and vital freight, could be paralyzed. Even the regional power grid is partially reliant on geothermal energy tapped from the very systems that are now threatening to blow. Everything is connected, and everything is vulnerable. The potential cascading scenarios are the stuff of nightmares. If a section of the Caldera's coastline collapses into the bay, it could trigger a tsunami 15 to 20 meters high. Sicily would have about 8 minutes of warning. The island of Malta, just 15. An eruption column could easily climb 30,000 feet into the sky, injecting a cloud of abrasive volcanic ash into the jet stream. Air traffic across Europe, from London to Istanbul, would be grounded indefinitely. The disruption to shipping lanes through the Mediterranean would choke off supply lines for food and energy to over 400 million people. As the ground continues to swell and crack, the people of Pozzuoli live in a state of heightened alert, caught between the reassuring words of officials and the trembling ground beneath their feet. The science tells us the rock is weakening. The history shows us the volcano's explosive power. And the latest data reveals a system primed with more energy than ever before. The question is no longer if Campi Flegrei will erupt again, but when and how violently. For the scientists monitoring its every shudder, the most chilling possibility is that the final warning may not be a roar from deep within the earth, but the sudden, deafening silence that follows a catastrophic failure.